Good afternoon. Members of the Cohasset School Committee, esteemed faculty, families, and graduates, welcome to today's graduation ceremony. Before we begin our ceremony, our senior chorus will perform the national anthem, we will say the Pledge of Allegiance, and we will have a moment of silence for those who cannot be here today. I would ask that, if able, please stand until all three are completed. Please welcome our senior class chorus, who will perform our national anthem.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, who saw stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight? For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sailors, that star-spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And I would now like to welcome Student Council President Will Wildfire to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Will. And I'd like to please continue standing as we offer a moment of silence for all of those who have gone before us and who share in this celebration. You are always in our minds and in our hearts. Please be seated. Welcome. We are privileged to be able to celebrate in the most spectacular venue around, and I want to say thank you to Vince Longo, Scott Niskey, and the entire Music Circus staff for their generosity in allowing us to be here. Before we begin celebrating our seniors, I'd first like to recognize our retirees who've given multiple generations of students the tools they need to be successful, adapting those tools across decades as the world has evolved. We have 3 retirees this year, and I'd like to acknowledge them here as they also begin a new and exciting and uncertain chapter of their lives. First, Ms. Sue Sadler. Ms. Sadler is unable to be here today, but I wanted to take a moment and publicly thank her for 30 years of service to Cohasset in both the middle and the high schools. She's often had some of the most difficult responsibilities in education, and her ability to build trust and exercise compassion has made a difference in the lives of countless students. So thank you, Ms. Sadler. Second, Mr. Torrance Sweeney. A graduate of Cohasset High School in 1982, Mr. Sweeney has been a fixture here ever since, despite numerous attempts to move him along. Beginning his career as a wrestling coach shortly after graduation, Mr. Sweeney returned home to teach in 1994. He's taught at every level and at every building in Cohasset, but made his greatest mark at high school, whereas the health teacher, his success is often measured by the inverse proportion of unplanned pregnancies and sexually transmitted diseases. Working closely with community partners, Mr. Sweeney has made a direct and meaningful impact on the well-being of students by encouraging thoughtful choices grounded in an honest assessment of the world in which our students live. And his knowledge of Cohasset, the adjustments made to curriculum both as a teacher and department head, and his unique ability to form trusting relationships with students has made a measurable difference in the lives of literally thousands of students. Beyond the classroom, Mr. Sweeney's greatest impact might be found on the athletic fields, where he's coached football, boys and girls golf, girls lacrosse, softball, and most notably wrestling, where he's coached for the past 42 years and is a member of the Massachusetts Interscholastic Wrestling Coaches Hall of Fame. We are lucky that he will continue to be a presence on our sidelines, and we owe him a tremendous debt for his service to our community. I will certainly miss him in the hallways. Congratulations, Mr. Sweeney. And finally, Mr. Michael Welch. Mr. Welch began his career in Cohasset in 2000, coming from Medway. Prior to teaching in public schools, Mr. Welch taught abroad in both El Salvador and Colombia. He's taught at the elementary, middle, and high school levels and is open about the unique challenges and rewards that each brings. As a member of Cohasset's faculty, he's taught a variety of courses and levels, including U.S. and World History, Economics, Psychology, and AP U.S. History. He's been the department chair and advised Student Council, National Honor Society, and Model UN. But he's perhaps best known for developing the AP Economics course, one of the most popular courses and a course in which students consistently earn almost perfect scores. More impressive, however, is the range of students that Mr. Welch can teach, both those who struggle and those who need more challenge. A relentless student teaching has been able to design instructional strategies that are grounded in philosophy and tested in practice. The best teachers in the world don't make excuses about who can succeed at high levels. This is the mark of a great teacher, and Mr. Welch is among the best teachers I've ever worked with. We wish him all the best. Congratulations, Mr. Welch. And I would now like to welcome Class President Layla Omran to the podium to give our welcome address.
Hello, everyone. On this bittersweet day, I am so happy to be here with all of you. While it still blows my mind that we are really graduating, I could not be prouder to be a part of the Cohasset class of 2024. I am beyond excited to see the incredible futures we all have ahead of us, which begin in just a few minutes. First, I would like to leave you all with some parting words before we go. I've called Cohasset home essentially my entire life, and I am the person I am today because of the people around me. While my gratitude goes beyond words, I have more than a few people to thank for being such a significant part of my journey. First, to my dad, for overcoming losing my mom and teaching me not to allow the challenges I face stop me from constantly trying to improve myself. Your ability to leave everything behind at such a young age and escape a war-torn home and still see the goodness in the world is a resilience I tried to carry with me. To the amazing woman who I've called Mom for the last 12 years, thank you for teaching me not to worry about what others think of me and focus on doing what's right. You always remind me to be kind to myself even when I can be stubborn. Thank you both for your advice and for loving me unconditionally. Although I don't say it enough, I cannot be more grateful for all that you do for me. I know that I wouldn't be where or who I am today without you. To the mom who gave me life, whose memory I always hold in my heart, I've let her kindness guide me through all my difficult decisions, and losing her taught me empathy, realizing we can never truly know what someone else is going through. I hope to always make you proud, Mom. To my little sister, whose love always makes me feel so warm inside. I always look forward to our car rides, blasting anything from Noah Khan to Lil Baby, and I love listening to your stories and your drama. I've loved watching you grow into the sweetest person I've ever met, and although I'm going to miss you like crazy next year, I can't wait for your at least 5-minute Snapchat video updates and constant FaceTime calls. I love you, kid. To my older sister, thank you for being my constant support beam. I know I can turn to you for anything, and I look up to you so much. You are so kind and care about me more than I'll ever know, and I'm so proud of the brilliant student, and more importantly, the amazing person you've become. To my non-biological twin, or my Twinkie, as we used to roll our eyes at Mom and Dad for calling us, I wish I didn't have to go through high school without you by my side, but you never made an ocean feel far away. Allie, I miss you barging into my room, uninvited but always appreciated, and talking with me for hours, but your FaceTime updates are my favorite part of my day, even when they're usually TMI. I know you're going to do amazing things at A&M, and I'm looking forward to making lots of trips down to Texas to see you. To Waleed, the brother that every teacher has a story about, thank you for challenging me and reminding me to just chill out. Even though you told me I have a better chance of getting struck by lightning than I do getting into Harvard, and I didn't. I've never doubted that you were proud of me and only ever want what's best for me. Thank you for always looking out for me and being protective from usually an ocean or two away. I couldn't ask for a better older brother. To my Aunt Sam and her incredible kids, thank you for always being there for a last-minute place to stay and staying up until 3 a.m. to help me with my supplementals. I treasure every moment I spent with you. To Eleanor, my other half and my best friend since kindergarten, I've loved growing up with you. I know you always have my back, and your friendship has always been a light in my life. You never fail to check in on me when you know I need you most, even when I know you're taking on more than you can carry. You are the kindest person I know, and even though we may not live in the same town or even go to school in the same state, I know you'll always be my soul sister. To my amazing friends, thank you for making me my favorite version of myself. Whether it's picking up my random FaceTime calls, running to high-five me during a softball game, or making me laugh so hard my stomach hurts, you're always there when I need you. I'm going to miss our car rides and our jokes, but I'm so excited to see what incredible things you'll do next year and all the years to come. I love you all more than you know. We have all touched people's lives in ways we may never realize. We are all a part of each other's memories, whether that's as lifelong friends or just a familiar face in a crowded room. Although our time together is coming to a close, it makes me happy to know that the memories we've made during our time at Cohasset will always hold a special place in our hearts. To think that this is likely the last time we will all be together is sad, but I know that we will all be off doing incredible things from wherever we end up. For many of us, we will be far from home, but though I like to think of this new beginning as our new adventure. While that distance can be scary, stars are millions of miles away from us, and they still shine. So, when Cohasset feels far away, remember that light is the fastest thing in the universe. I'm not talking about the light that we receive from the sun that brightens the days and makes the plants grow. I'm talking about the light we receive and that we give to others, that brightens our days and makes us grow. I started receiving that light in kindergarten during Mr. Dykes' dance party, and I watched as that light got brighter during the 5th grade circus, and brighter during Camp Wing, bedbugs and all, and brighter when a pandemic that shut the world down somehow brought us closer together, and brighter as we cheered each other on during pep rallies and sports games, and brighter when we came full circle and played instruments on the holiday tour with the Deer Hill kids, and brighter when we got closer at class events this year, and brighter as we walked through the halls of the schools that showed us how to see the world together as a class for the last time. And now, as I look at you all, the people who I've spent the last 12 years of my life growing up with, that light is so bright, it's blinding. You're all going to go far, but no matter where in the world, in the universe, you end up, that light from home will never take long to reach you. I'm grateful beyond words to have grown up with all of you and watch you all grow into the incredible people you are. I'm so lucky to be able to say that out of anywhere in the universe, I'm here with all of you. I have no doubt that you'll all leave the world better, brighter than you found it, and I cannot wait to see where that light will take us. I'm so unbelievably proud of you all. We did it! Let's graduate!
Thank you, Layla. Before I invite Dr. Sullivan to speak, I want to take a brief moment to offer my thanks for what he has done for this district and for his influence on my personal development as a principal and as a person. Cohasset has faced a number of considerable challenges over the last 5 years, the nuances of which are not always clearly understood by most. I'm grateful to have worked alongside him as we face those challenges, and we certainly wish him the best on this new chapter in his career. And so at this time, I would like to invite to the podium Superintendent of the Schools, Dr. Patrick Sullivan.
Thank you, and I know what you're all thinking. I'm extremely blue. You can't always choose the colors of your alma mater. I've been called everything from a giant blueberry to Grimace to my personal favorite, Cookie Monster. Members of the class and school committee, esteemed faculty, families, and of course graduates, welcome to today's graduation where we honor the accomplishments of the Cohasset High School class of 2024. Before I begin my brief remarks, I want to thank Principal Scott and his team for their magnificent work in celebrating the seniors, and I want to thank all the wonderful staff who are here today at this excellent event. Also, I want to express thanks to the town of Cohasset, to the school committee, to the building and district leadership, to staff, and to families for everything you have done for the class of 2024. Please join me in a round of applause to acknowledge all who have helped make this milestone possible for the graduates. In preparing for today, and to gain an outside perspective, I asked my 4 children, who range in ages from 9 to 15, what they thought the theme of my remarks to the graduating class should be. I asked this question when I had all 4 of them in the car, which nowadays is the only place for me really to get information about their lives. They kind of don't have a choice to answer because I have them trapped. Not surprisingly, this particular question was met with complete silence. As I finished my drop-off duties of my 3 youngest and moved to drop off my oldest son at his theater practice, he looked at me and said, "Change. Talk about change, Dad." My first thought was that this was a pretty generic answer without much depth to it, just said to have an answer. However, as I considered it more closely, I realized that my son had struck on one of the great commonalities of a graduation: change. Graduates, if you think about it, all the questions being asked of you recently are about change. Why did you choose the school or approach you are taking after graduation? What are you going to study? What will you miss about Cohasset? Some, when excited about the possibilities change might provide you, will tell you they are excited for you about the changes that await you. Others will remind you not to change as they think about how wonderful you are and about the strong character that has made you special. It can be very confusing, and the changes your generation is tasked with making are monumental. Changes are needed environmentally, politically, socially, technologically. There is no limit to needed changes. But your generation is uniquely prepared for change. You've already gone through massive changes in your lifetimes in the way we process information, in the way we communicate with each other, the way we work and travel. While members of my generation and generations that come before me might struggle with the pace of change, you embrace it and expect it, and it's a great asset for you as you go off to college or as you go to the workplace. The renowned author and educator Tony Wagner, in preparation for his important book, Creating Innovators, The Making of Young People Who Will Change the World, researched the early lives of many young modern-day innovators and found a pattern where childhood creative play leads to deep-seated interests, which in adulthood blossom into a deeper purpose for career and life goals. Play, passion, and purpose. These are the forces that drive innovation. So how does that connect to change? Quite simply, keep playing, stay open to new experiences and adventures, and embrace the unknown, for within the unknown you will find your passions. Embrace challenges too, for they will help you find your purpose. And most importantly, embrace failures as part of this process of change and discovery. And when you do find your purpose, become change agents. A change agent can be defined as someone who is responsive to the needs of a group and who does something in a new way to effectuate improved systems and culture which produce better outcomes for their organization. Find something about which you are passionate and invested, and be that something's change agent. Finally, when considering change, it is just as important to understand what will not change anytime soon. The beautiful harbor and beaches that have framed your childhood will be here for you when you need to find solace in them. Like me, I suspect that many of you find yourselves drawn to these peaceful harbors when you need to put your mind at ease and find perspective. They will continue to allow you to reflect and to find your peaceful place. Your friends and the caring people who make up the town of Cohasset are forever proud of who you are and who you can be. That will not change. Your teachers are proud of you too. We are honored to have had the chance to help you on your path, and we reflect on that honor all the time. We will always be here for you. That too will not change. Your bond as a graduating class will link you to one another. This common history and experience will not change. And please remember that those who truly love you can sometimes see in you the possibilities you can lose sight of. If you temporarily lose your compass, let those who love you empower you with the gift of showing you what they see in you. That will never change. And just in case you need it, remember that JJ's ice cream will always be delicious and ready for you whenever you need some ice cream therapy. Best of luck in your future endeavors, class of 2024. It has been an honor to be your superintendent. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world. Keep making us proud and enjoy this wonderful day. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. It is my pleasure now to welcome our class orator, Noah McDowell.
Before I begin, I want to preface this speech. My grandfather, 2 years ago at my brother's graduation, asked if I was ever on stage. I'd keep it brief. That's what I'm going to do here today. I came to this country knowing literally no one. My closest relatives, friends, and family were the entire stretch of the American continent away. Exactly 4,188.7 kilometers, to be exact. Europe was much closer than any person I had known here. I frankly did not know what to expect. I've never stepped foot on the East Coast, never heard of what the South Shore was, and the only thing I knew about Boston was that it had something to do with Good Will Hunting. I was nervous. Nervous I would not find new friends. Nervous that the cultural disconnect that separated me from my new classmates would be too great. And nervous that I could never be a part of a puzzle that seemed to have pieces that were different than mine. I remember on the first day of school, in 7th grade, sitting down in Miss Nelligan's guidance classroom. The iridescent lights were shone on the dusty old carpet, as a deluge of people I didn't know spilled in. Apprehensive, I entered the room, trying to keep a low profile while the eyes of my classmates peered at me. Miss Nelligan stood at the front of the room, and her attendance list in hand divided us into groups. Dumb luck would happen upon me that day when I happened to be seated with my friends Alex, Tom, and Nate. The order of the day was to discuss topics to debate. As to how that pertained to guidance, I don't know. Nate, with his coiffed brown hair, introduced himself first, but shifted quickly to insisting we talk about something about rising interest rates or the economy. Then Tom, with his wry smile, suggested something off-topic and goofy, something along the lines of why water was wet. Alex rebutted, matter-of-factly, that actually water was indeed wet because it was water. None of them knew me in the slightest, but they felt no hesitation in introducing themselves and treating me as an old friend. I mention this anecdote since it strikes at the core of what Cohasset and our experience here has really been about. I rest assured that reflecting on our time here, no one is going to say that it was the homework or the grades, the acceptances or awards, trophies, honors, and recognitions that truly animated our time here at Cohasset. Most people will not remember in 20 years how they scored on that one test, one AP exam, the intricacies of the defenestration of Prague. I would wager money, however, that any member of the class of 2024 will remember when we chanted for Joe when he won the AirPods during the Credit for Life fair, even if he was unsure if they would be compatible with a Samsung phone. It is an undeniable fact that in 20 years, any member of this class will remember Teddy's persistent attempt year after year to win musical chairs, only to be thwarted at the last minute. Everyone here will remember chanting "Atch" in knockout, Mr. Leary's riddles, Mr. McCabe's celebratory Friday music, and Scorpion's antics, especially when JD came to visit. The foundation of Cohasset is, was, and will always be laid down by more than brick, mortar, concrete, cement, and plaster. The foundation runs deeper than quality of schools, who gets admitted to what university, or whatever color ribbon our school receives. It's the people who give life to Cohasset. Although this sounds trite, it's because the greatest truisms in life often are. It's the people who breathe life into every corridor, hallway, leaky hole in the ceiling. The sports teams, the clubs, the classrooms, the lunch tables are not filled with awards, weighted GPAs, or NHS cords, but friends and classmates. We will remember the lunch table discussions about hypotheticals. We will remember the utility spent with friends in the learning commons and courtyard. We will remember the anticipation and build up towards Spirit Week and homecoming. Long past whenever the school is renovated or rebuilt, long after many of us will see Cohasset again, long after the inevitability of life happens, we build families, careers, and lives of our own. The memories of this special place will remain unfaded in all of us. Cohasset is Cohasset because by design it's a puzzle made of extraordinary and unique pieces. The beauty of this community, as is the beauty of America at its best, is that it is a place where anyone can come from any background, from any religion, from any race, from any family, people, or experience, and find a home. I'd like to extend my eternal gratitude to you all for not giving me an education, a town, or a school, but a community, a family, and a home. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah. I would now like to welcome our class valedictorian, Ms. Layla Al-Rashid.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to begin by welcoming and thanking our dedicated faculty, proud parents, encouraging friends, supportive community members, and my fellow graduates to Cohasset Class of 2024's graduation ceremony. I'm honored to be standing here before you, but let's be honest, I know you all are tired, hot, and ready to celebrate all of your hard work, so I'll try my best to keep this brief. I'll admit, I have no idea what the world after high school is like, so when I was notified that I would be delivering a speech here at graduation, I sat perplexed, wondering what wisdom I, at 17 years old, could possibly share, besides how to make it through the school day without a Mary Lou's Red Bull in hand, or how to survive the chaos of the student parking lot. I'm definitely glad that's over. So, let me begin with an anecdote. A few weeks ago, as I was anxiously completing one of my last chemistry tests, Mr. Sears placed a note on my desk. "You don't need to be perfect," it read. "It's overrated anyway." This really made me pause and think. It is so easy to get caught up chasing perfection that sometimes you can forget what is really important in life. And thank you, Mr. Sears, for somehow making chemistry fun. So, let's take a step back to that hard work I mentioned earlier. More precisely, the notion that hard work results in success. Whether it is on social media or in the news, we are faced with content every day that promotes the ubiquitous truth behind this idea. We can look at people like Serena Williams or Roger Federer, just to name a few unbiased examples, both of whom dedicated their lives to gain the success, wealth, and fame that we recognize them for. But therein lies the issue. While it is true that their efforts provided them with the results that they desired, and of course earned, that is not always the case. So, what about those who haven't succeeded? I've come to understand that this statement, that hard work results in success, fails to acknowledge those who also work hard, but don't achieve the recognition that they hoped for. I've seen this both within myself and my peers, who all have unique and inspiring hopes and dreams for their futures, but also all have faced obstacles along the way that may have felt like failures in their path towards achieving their goals. I know that many in the audience who are not part of the graduating class can also relate to this sentiment. Sometimes we study really hard for a test, only to be disappointed when we receive our scores back the next day. I'm talking about you, A-Push. Or sometimes we apply for a position and have a phenomenal interview, only to read the words, "I regret to inform you that." Countless people work hard every day, yet never attain success, at least in the conventional sense, and they are left feeling like they have failed, that maybe if they had worked a little harder, they would have been successful. Here's our problem. As a society, our definition of success is so confined. We've been conditioned to think that success is solely characterized by the result, whether we climb the corporate ladder, achieve worldwide fame, or amass material wealth. But here's the thing. Success isn't just about personal achievement. It's also about how we uplift and inspire those around us. It's about using our talents and abilities to create positive change in the lives of others, to leave the world a little better than we found it. Or, as Miley Cyrus once so wisely said, it's not reaching the summit that's important, it's the climb. Now, this isn't to discount all the people who work hard and do achieve the money or fame or whatever else they desire. Instead, it is to refocus our perceptions of success. So, what does success really look like? To me, it looks like showing up every day, ready to tackle whatever life throws our way. It looks like the small, genuine acts of kindness that can change someone's day. It looks like making a positive impact on the lives of those around us, leaving a legacy of compassion and virtue, just like our experience at Cohasset has taught us. So, as we venture forth into the great unknown, on whatever paths we choose to forge after this day, let us redefine success on our own terms. Life is so much more than a grade, an award, or a title. It's about making a conscious effort day after day to work hard, but also enjoy our lives, pursue our passions, and most importantly, make a difference in the world. So, as we leave the stage today with our diplomas in hand, let's define our success not by external accolades, but by the integrity with which we live our lives and the lives we change along the way. Congratulations, Class of 2024.
Thank you, Layla. And I would now like to welcome our class valedictorian, Mr. Charlie Lanco.
Good afternoon, Cohasset High School class of 2024, esteemed administration, distinguished faculty, and the families gathered here today to celebrate this special occasion. Before I go on, I'd like to ask you all to join me in a meditation exercise. Yes, I know, just go with it. All right, let's begin. If you feel comfortable, gently close your eyes and focus your attention on the support of your seat beneath you and on the contact points between your feet and the ground. Center yourself. Now, I invite you all to take one deep breath in and to visualize one thing you are grateful for. On your exhale, try to release any tension you might feel in your body. And once you are ready, slowly open your eyes. This routine is a brief example of what we might typically do on Wednesday mornings in Miss Berkowitz's art classroom for Mindful Mornings. Since I started going in the midst of the college application process last fall, Mindful Mornings became something I looked forward to each week as a chance to check in with both myself and my surroundings. One of the things I appreciated most from these mornings was the opportunity to return to the present moment, as if hitting a reset button that erased any remaining tension or stress from my mind and body. And as soon-to-be graduates of Cohasset High School, it's safe to say that we've had our fair share of stress and tension throughout the years, from our first days of class freshman year to our last just a few short days ago. These negative emotions of stress and tension, which tend to exist in the past and future, take us away from the present. However, it is interesting to consider that right now, in our cap and gown, we graduates find ourselves situated in a unique balance, pulled in conflicting directions towards these very same realms of past and future. Powerful feelings of nostalgia remind us of our fondest high school memories, while our uncertain futures call to us with their promise of what might be. In considering our time spent in high school, I am reminded of an insightful passage from Henry David Thoreau's Walden, in which Thoreau contemplates his decision to leave his cabin in the woods once and for all. Here, he delivers an astute commentary on human nature, explaining, quote, how easily and insensibly we fall into a particular route and make a beaten track for ourselves. This beaten track refers to the physical imprint Thoreau's years of travel have left upon the earth below his feet. In a similar way, as students of Cohasset High School, we too have blazed a trail for ourselves over these past 4 years, one that has left an indelible impression upon our school and those around us. Hungry for identity as a class, we swiftly aligned and hoped to define ourselves in terms of our passions. Students, musicians, artists, actors, and athletes, policy advocates, and mental health activists. We joined clubs and committees and made our voices heard. Just starting out as freshmen, we had yet to master this elaborate juggling act. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for dropping off our forgotten stuff. Really came in handy. However, knowing how way leads on to way, in the words of Robert Frost, sure enough, these instances became less and less frequent, and we improved at the life skill of managing our various commitments. Aye, there's the rub, as Shakespeare might interject. There is a crucial distinction between managing and balancing. The reality that many of us, myself wholeheartedly included, find ourselves constantly scheduled and stretched too thin has been a reality many of our teachers have cautioned us about time and time again. For there is a great danger in having every spare moment of our lives occupied with something going on. The consequence of this, if we return to the words of Thoreau, may be that we cease to live deliberately. We may wake up one morning and come to realize that we are simply going through the motions of our daily lives, moving from one task and location to another in a seemingly unending sequence, another cheaply manufactured product on the assembly line of life. I share these words as a means to describe what we must all be wary of as we move into the next chapter of our lives. I urge us all to become more aware of how we choose to spend what precious time we have and to pursue activities, commitments, and obligations that will allow us to live in the present moment, to live intentionally. As Mr. Welch teaches in his economics class, nothing comes without an opportunity cost, or the next best alternative we sacrifice when making any decision. With this idea of opportunity cost in mind, it begs the question of whether the things we pursue on a daily basis are worth the sacrifices we are forced to make as a result. Striving to keep this idea of balance in mind as we grow and mature in the coming years is something I believe is very important for us all. And while it is certainly sad that we will soon have to say goodbye to this warm, comforting, and forgiving home that Cohasset High School has been for us all these years when we leave the music circus today, let us embrace the undeniable reality that we are ready to leave this place. Returning to Thoreau one last time, he says with admirable conviction that he, quote, did not wish to take a cabin passage, but rather to go before the mast and on the deck of the world, for there he could best see the moonlight amid the mountains. For the past 4 years, we have learned all the lessons we need to lead successful, happy, and fulfilled lives. Like Thoreau explains, I do not wish for us to continue here any longer at CHS, this cabin that we have traversed for all these years. For it is the finite nature of our time here that has given it its great value. As a final expression of our school spirit, let us leave our cabin of comfort and ascend to the deck of this ship that is life with the confidence of a true skipper. After all, the skipper's job is to steer, to direct the ship on a favorable course towards distant horizons. And above deck, we are sure to find ourselves tested with the capricious temper of the waves, some days calm, other days unrelenting in their aggression. One thing for certain, though, is the humbling truth that our time on these high seas is limited. As Herman Melville relays so elegantly in the concluding line of Moby Dick, quote, the great shroud of the sea will roll on as it rolled 5,000 years ago. And with that, I ask that we all, particularly you, my fellow classmates, take one last opportunity to let this once-in-a-lifetime moment sink in. Let's take one last deep breath in and deep breath out. And if you remember one thing from my words today, may you always know that the present moment is only ever one breath away. Thank you.
All right, it's go time. Members of the school committee, Chairman Dial, Dr. Sullivan, and Dr. Scollins, it gives me great pleasure to certify to you that the candidates seated before you have met all of the requirements for graduation as established by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Cohasset School Committee. Our assistant principal, Ms. Noyes, will read our graduates' names as they cross the stage to receive their diplomas.
At this time, we'd like to ask the front row to stand. It is our honor to present to you your high school diplomas. Layla Marie Al-Rashid. Charles Douglas Lanco. Layla Omaran. Nathan Martin Livermore. Evelyn Grace Ronzoni. Nikhil Duda. Casey Elizabeth Nichols. You're welcome. John William Wildfire. Peyton Elizabeth Condat. Liam Brody Appleton. Harrison Very Babishek. Matthew Francis Adea. Kaylee Bryn Barrett. Blaine Matthew Basil. Thomas Keegan Basia. Julia Mae Bianchi. Wes James Odell. Henry O'Leary Burke. J. Timothy Bernica. Julia Hope Bernica. Elena Lee Kane. Maeve Catherine Casey. Madeline Jane Caulfield. Sarah Elizabeth Chanette. Madeline Elizabeth Clark. Charles Clark Jr. Ayla Jane DiLorenzo. Jack Ignacio DeMello. Ava Lee DeSalvo. Michael Joseph Dockeray. James August Donahue. Ruby Paige Fales. Edward Hastings Fox. Francis Christopher Froyo. Maya Rose Gabriel. Kiva Gamboa. William O'Toole Griffin. Nina Sophia Geddes. Angelina Rose Grimes. Luke Khalil Haddad. Alexander Nicholas Hunka. Rose Blossom Harrison. Achilles Stylianos Hatzopoulos. Christina Vasuris Hatzopoulos. Krista Anna Heinlein. Benjamin Lawrence Henry. Tyler Charles Henry. Christopher Hanson Higgins. John Thomas Higgins. Maeve Annette Higgins. Nicholas Martinez Hoadley. Benjamin Joseph Joyce. Mason Nora Joyce. Isabella Rose Kearney. Samantha Victoria Kearney. Jackson Martin Key. Jody Francis Kehoe. Annalise Josephine Kennedy. Helena Marie Larson. Madeline Ann Lawson. Declan Patrick Lee. Luke Charles Lafayette. Ian Ridgely Linhart. Madigan Jane Lombardi. Cluette Esther Lyons. Elizabeth Abigail Martin. Noah Christopher McDowell. Melanie Lorraine McGee. Amanda Elizabeth McMahon. Jack Alton McSweeney. Joseph Sebastian Maloney. Mia Grace Morin. Grace Irene Mosier. Jane Madeline McBride Newcomb. Hannah Florence Nichols. Olivia Catherine Jacqueline Novod. Andrew Price Olson. Aberson Ramon Lee Orioso Burrell. Osorio. Osorio. Dimitri Edward Peters. Eden Joseph Petty. Anaya Rose Pierce. Alexander Mark Ravanisi. Kathleen Alice Ronzoni. Haley Juliette Santos. Cameron Marie Sasso. Gavin Charles Schmidt. Caitlin Denise Scott. Samuel O'Neill Seavey. Charles Joseph Sebastian. John Rahal Shannon. Noah John Simone. Zachary James Smith. Taylor Renee Soderberg. Leah Marie Squatrido. Catherine Mary Toomey. Alexia Sorova. Max Eric Merrill Wellman. Alexandria Santika Williams. Joshua Thomas Young. Yeah. Congratulations.
There's only 45 minutes left. We should be good. Class of 2024, congratulations on a well-deserved graduation. You have certainly earned it. On March 24th of this year, the World Happiness Report was published. Anybody ever heard of it? No. It's a partnership of Gallup, the Oxford Wellbeing Research Center, and the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and it's been coming out every year since 2012. The 158-page document is an attempt to measure the happiness of people throughout the world with the objective of quantifying ways in which governments can operationalize happiness for its citizens. Of course, everyone flips to the section that ranks which nations and sometimes which cities are happiest. Finland is number 1, the United States is number 23, and I thought to myself, Cohasset would love this. It's a competition. We love competitions. We're good at competitions. We hang league banners and win state championships and set school records and score thousands of points. Heck, Sarah just did that by herself. We're Department of Education School of Recognition and AP School of Distinction. We have a banner in the lobby that recognizes us as one of the best schools in the country, according to U.S. News and World Report, and we've been nominated as a National Blue Ribbon School of Excellence, which I can't share publicly, so keep that between us. Our college placement is second to none. All 4 NHS officers are going to Dartmouth. Our student council president is going to Princeton. Our faculty is among the best in the country. We have the nicest facilities. Yeah, that's not true. I was trying to get a rise out of Mr. Kearney. We love competition. We're good at competition. So when I saw that the World's Happiness Report came out, I was curious how Cohasset would fare, and really I just wanted to prove that we were happier than Hingham. But as I read the report, I couldn't find any of those categories in which we won awards. Not one. I went looking for the rubric. How do they measure happiness? Is it the same as success? Because we have that in spades. Shouldn't success produce at least some level of happiness? Because if not, why strive for it? I went digging a little further. In my quest to understand it, I came across a man by the name of Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, a British physician who also studies happiness. Dr. Chatterjee describes the relationship between the brain and happiness, and one of the characteristics of the brain that he acknowledges is what he refers to as the want brain. The want brain is thousands of years in the making, developed out of an instinctual response to scarcity. The understanding that there are only so many resources to go around, and we need to get ours. Biologically speaking, we need to compete. It's that part of the brain that convinces us that we'll be happier through acquisition. The A on the test, the new phone, the NHS pin, the college acceptance, the job promotion, Chick-fil-A on a Sunday, right? Bucket list items, goals we set for ourselves that we think will contribute to our overall well-being if achieved. The problem, he says, is that they don't actually work to create happiness, or at least they don't promote sustainable happiness. In multiple studies, Dr. Chatterjee shows that any level of joy or satisfaction is at best temporary, a condition that's ultimately replaced by a sense of detachment and a new goal designed to fill the empty space of us wanting more. This isn't a particularly new philosophy. In Book 6 of the Iliad, Homer references the Greek myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus was the king of Corinth, a remarkable achiever whose talents often outwitted the gods and whose achievements sometimes came at the expense of others. Sisyphus was so accomplished, so successful, that he even managed to conquer death, tricking Hades into chains when Hades came to take him to the underworld. With death and chains, no one could die, which was good for Sisyphus, but came at the expense of others. It meant that the sick and the suffering were perpetually fated to a life of torment. For this and many other injustices, Sisyphus was punished, made to repeatedly roll a stone up to the top of a hill, only to have it roll down again as soon as he reached the summit. He was sentenced to push this rock uphill for eternity, a task philosopher Albert Camus pointed out as an absurd tragedy, endless and meaningless work resulting from the pursuit of our own vanity, a hill we can never conquer. Why do we work hard? In many of our minds, we work hard to get good grades so we can be accepted to a good college, so we can get a good job and have nice things and ultimately be happy. But that kind of linear thinking doesn't pass scrutiny. In our medium-driven world, the perception of happiness is driven by consumption, the things we possess. But the more we have, the more we realize that what we have isn't enough, and the pursuit continues, ironically, often sacrificing those things that we do need, our relationships, and sometimes our health. We drive ourselves to the top of the hill only to realize that what we thought would be enough, the right college, the captaincy, a job, our house, isn't. We want more, and the weight of our efforts collapses on itself and begins anew the process of rolling our rock back up the hill. An absurd tragedy indeed. Graduates, don't let yourselves be deceived by your accomplishments, which in no way am I trying to diminish. I am very proud of your accomplishments, and you should be too. But what I want you to see is that you've created something far greater than any trophy you've earned, and I'm not sure you realize just what you did over the last 4 years. As Layla so eloquently put it, maybe our understanding of success itself needs to be redefined if we're going to draw a connection between success and fulfillment. Whether you know it or not, you've transformed the landscape of education in Cohasset. You stepped into a system that was fundamentally disrupted and in flux, and amid the pain and confusion and uncertainty, you reinvented what high school could be, and you grounded that invention in hope. Hope, says the late Nobel Prize-winning poet Seamus Heaney, is not optimism, which expects things to turn out well, but something rooted in the conviction that there is good worth working for. Before the vision of the graduate was articulated and plastered on the walls of our classrooms, the seeds of what constituted true education were already embedded in you, just waiting to be nurtured. Inspiring character, purposeful growth, scholarship serving the greater good. These are the marks of a true education, and you've made them into the pillars that ground you and separate you from the rest of your peers. Although papers like the World Happiness Report tend to focus on which countries score the happiest, the value of the report is looking deeply at the characteristics that make people happy. This, of course, includes things like relative wealth, health, and freedom, what psychologist Abraham Maslow might describe as basic needs, and which, when met, allow us to pursue contentment. We're fortunate that these conditions exist here in relative abundance. When countries like Finland continue to rank high in the World Happiness Report, it's important first to consider that some basic needs of their citizens are met, but then look at those things that allow people to thrive. These include the importance of trust, of positive social relationships, of humility, of caring for one another. It's in looking at those things where we can find our answers, not gazing at our reflections and our trophies. Consider these in relation to the vision of the graduate. As part of the report, there was an experiment where researchers left a wallet and tracked how many people returned it to the police or sought its owner. The highest positive response was in Helsinki. That's trust. That's inspiring character. Being surrounded by people who are invested in you and in your unique success and not comparing yourselves to others, but pursuing your most fulfilled self, that's purposeful growth. Using your skills and talents to improve your homes and your school and your community. That's scholarship serving the greater good. Like the characteristics of countries which rank high, these qualities have been the foci of your efforts. And while test scores and college placements and accolades followed suit, Nothing has set you up for greater happiness more than staying true to these compass points. In April, I asked the faculty to reflect in your class in light of the vision of the graduate. The response was immediate and overwhelming. They mentioned the inspiring character of students like Alexia, who quietly leads from a position of positivity, going out of her way to thank the new food services director, who's working hard to implement some nice changes in the cafeteria, who, along with Catherine, inspired the middle school to reuse and recycle. They talked about students like Will and Ben and Josh, who consistently demonstrate kindness. Students like Charlie, who Mr. Ford described as the best captain he's had in 33 years of coaching, and who, along with Bella, Sam, and Layla, refocused and re-energized a National Honor Society to ground the experience in the pillars and not in the title. It's the first time in my career I had to consider whether the committee was too moral. Students like Rosie and Tommy and Catherine, who go out of their way to include others in class. Peyton, whose smile lights up the room. All of the Higginses, however, all of them. Is there a nicer kid in the building than CJ? Is there a nicer kid in the building than CJ? Right? Perpetual pleasantness is a gift. That's inspiring character. You forged pathways that were truly unique, overcoming challenges along the way. Aberson developed his interest in technology and, amid juggling multiple jobs and camp counseling, built a computer in his spare time. Maddie nurtured a remarkable talent in the arts that inspires awe. Frankie learned to lean into his individuality in a joyful, mature, and positive way. Yes, the ultimate Froyo in a sea of Cohasset Froyos. His confidence to be himself inspires others to be the same. Henry turned injury into opportunity in his work behind the camera, infused a sense of pride into our school that rivals only the sense of pride he has in his mustache. Anaya, who's been a fierce but unwavering advocate for social justice, founded the Black Student Union and created an extensive list of scholarships for students of color that would be passed on to future classes. Yeah. Caitlin, who was identified as a secret bibliophile by Mrs. McGinnis. We won't tell anyone. Same with Olivia, who, in grappling with her own identity, has written over 40 poems and is working on her own book. Maddie and Mel and Sam find their generally quiet voices through music. Ruby and Annalise have this incredible ability to work with adults in ways that reflect a maturity not consistent with their age. And can I just take a minute to ask what got into Leah this year? Watching her true self come out in the musical was one of the most joyful experiences for me. Her laugh is infectious, so much so that just about every day I think something is going wrong in the cafeteria, only to turn around and find her entertaining the lunch table. And I would bring up Noah, but honestly no one can describe to me what it is that Noah does. Something related to quantum computing, and I just hope our insurance rider covers it. That's purposeful growth. But most important to me is that you use this abundance of talent to help others. Max, Wes, Mick, Alex, Krista, Jody, Joe, Gavin, and all the marine science students who work through CSCR has a direct and measurable impact on our community. Elizabeth and Grace, who work closely with our elementary schools to educate them about things like responsible water use. Nick, who, collaborating with the Perkins School for the Blind, designed and constructed a series of interpretive stations along a trail system that is truly inclusive and accessible to people with varying abilities. The stations not only incorporate Braille for the visually impaired, but also feature visual text and QR codes, making nature exploration and learning accessible to everyone. And I would be remiss to not mention John Shannon for two reasons. First, his behind-the-scenes support of St. Jude's Hospital is a lesson in solidarity with those battling struggles much greater than most of ours. And second, because his mom is now my boss. Evaluation starts July 1st. I'll make sure you get a copy of this. That scholarship serving the greater good. Over the last 4 years, you faced challenges that are wholly unique to your generation, and you faced them with a level of positivity and togetherness that I hope you will remember for years to come. Don't forget to ground yourselves in things that matter. As Charlie said, practice gratitude. How do you measure happiness? Maybe the cast of Rent had it right. Measure in love. Unlike English, the Greek language has a variety of words for love. Philia, friendship. Storge, familial love. Eros, passion. And agape, this very rarely used word that describes a love that's born out of selfless action. It's the only descriptor of love I can find which isn't conditioned on anyone or anything. It isn't dependent. Agape isn't a love that suggests that we are passive recipients of affection. It describes love in a way where we become active creators when we do things that put others before ourselves, often at great personal sacrifice. It's what Layla described as both the light within us and the light that radiates from us. That's how you measure happiness. And maybe that's how we should also measure success. What you do in college, what you do for work, how much money you make, your health, those can disappear in a heartbeat. But the relationships you make and the lives that you touch are forever imprinted and give meaning to whatever you do. There's a little-known fact that Liam and I talk every day. He says, microwave. And I knowingly nod and open the kitchen door for him. You don't exist in isolation. Otherwise, no one would be here celebrating you. Inspiring character can only exist in relation to others. Purposeful growth can only be unique if it acknowledges the paths of others. Service to something greater than yourselves assumes a level of connectedness that is grounded in hope. These are the measures of happiness, and there's no ranking or trophy or recognition or world report that you can put on your fridge to celebrate it. It doesn't come from checking off items in a bucket list, but it grows from a source deep within. I will leave you with this. Today you're surrounded by parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles who all possess one thing more than you do: life experience. If there's one gift that they can give you for graduation, consider this. What if they created a reverse bucket list? A look back on all their life experiences with an eye towards what really mattered, what really created a sense of purpose and belonging and joy. A list of those things that created a lasting sense of happiness that transcends the many successes you've had, but also will support you through the trials that you will also have. What an incredible gift that would be as you make your way into the world. That and cash. Lots of cash. Don't let them forget about Maslow. On behalf of the faculty, we consider ourselves lucky that you shared ourselves with us, and we wish you nothing but the best as you continue your journey. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the class of 2024.